Hello and welcome. This is Charles Fockaert, May 30th, 2019. This video is on Esther, but before we get there, I want to thank all of you who support this channel. I appreciate the likes. The likes are important because other people will see the likes and say, hey, maybe there's something here. And also, and by the way, I get about 100% likes on the videos, very high percentage of likes. So again, that's important. Also, the comments. Some people had a discussion with one fellow there, and he just doesn't get it, and I really don't have time. And but I do, for the most part, I do appreciate the comments. Insert this in here real quick. I mentioned, or I contacted TNT there in Arkansas during all that bad weather they were having, and I was told that none of their identity people they know or themselves were harmed by all those tornadoes there. So Lord, that's what it's talking about, and thou shalt be saved. But I don't want to get into that. So let's get back to Esther here, shall we? Other people will read the comments before they watch the video, and by reading the comments we'll decide whether they want to watch the video or not. So that's your opportunity to participate. So let's get on to Esther. I want to go to Scofield Reference Bible, the 1967 edition. This is the Bible. This is the study Bible, reference Bible that the judeo-christian pastors, when they go to Dallas Theological Seminary and the other big name Christian education institutions, to become a pastor in their 501c3 institution, which is nothing other than an extension of the government, folks. But let's go have a look at what Scofield instructs those who read his reference Bible, shall we? I have to apologize for the movement, but that's the best I can do. I don't have my scanner with me. So Esther, the theme is God's providential care, and it was written in the 5th century BC. And let's read it. Esther, which closes the historical section of the Old Testament, records events that occurred when the Jews were captives in Persia. Persia is modern-day Iran. Esther, the name means star, was a Jewish maiden who, as queen of Persia, was used to deliver her people from massacre. The king, called Ahasuerus in this book, was Xerxes, who reigned 486-465 BC. The name of God is never mentioned in Esther, nor is there any allusion to the book in the New Testament, but in no other portion of the Bible is God's providential care of his people more evident. The book may be divided as follows: Esther, chosen queen; Esther's deliverance of her people, the Jews; and then the Jews' revenge upon their enemies. So there you have it, Scofield's take on Esther. Most of you who watch this channel are familiar with Esther, but I'll do a rough recap here. Ahasuerus, as pronounced by Scorby, the king, throws a party, a 6-month-long party, and during the party, the idea that having the queen come before the guest for them to look on her, because Scripture says she was fair to look upon. Well, the queen refuses, and therefore she gets deposed, because I thought this was interesting. Boy, you women have come a long way since Esther's time, and you're exalted now, and I don't want to get into that, but she got deposed. This queen, Vashti, gets deposed, and they're looking for a new queen, and that's where Esther comes into play. So the king's servants go out through all the kingdom, and they're looking for the new queen, and she's got to be attractive. Boy, there's a lot here, but she's got to be attractive, and this is when Mordecai comes into play. So let's go have a look at the passage, the scripture that talks about Mordecai, shall we?
Now, in Shushan the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is, Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. And the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace to the custody of Hegai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Hegai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him. And he speedily gave her her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her.
Most people who read the Bible, especially Judeo-Christians, they're going to read this verse here, Esther 2:5. Now in Shushan the palace there was a certain Jew, and they're just going to take it at face value, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite. So, but we're going to go a little deeper here, and we're going to look at the word Jew. Hope you can see that on the screen. It's from Hebrew 3063, a Judahite. And then Strong's inserts his own opinion here in the parentheses, and he says that is Judite or Jew. Now, I'm going to suggest very strongly that a Jew is not of the tribe of Judah. That's where all the confusion comes in. And the meaning goes on to say, or a descendant of Jehudah, that is Judah. And then once more time, everything past the colon and the hyphen here is not in the meaning, it's just how the word was used or translated in the King James Version. And let's also look at H3063, Jehudah, it's Yehudah, and the name of 5 Israelites, also of the tribe, descended from the first, and of its territory, Judah. So the word Jew is a mistranslation of that Hebrew word Yehudi or Yehudah, and it should not, as I've said many, many times, the word Jew, down here we can see total King James Version occurrences 75 times. He's not a Jew, she or he is not a Jew, they're of the tribe, they're related to Judah. And one more time for you thick-headed Judeo-Christians, Jew is not Judah, and Judah is not Jew. It even comes out and says right here, he's a Benjamite. So the Benjamites were not Jewish. I want to show you here the front piece of the Scofield Reference Bible. I've done this before, but I want to show you that this is where people get deceived, and they assume because these men, Frank Gabeline, William Culbertson, Feinberg, McCrae, all the rest of them, Wilbur Smith, John F. Wolford, THD, Doctor of Theology, Doctor of Divinity, PhD, LLD, blah, 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 blah. And you notice here it says that the text will help the reader. And this is what I call the brainwashing program. And this, I was a victim of this. I would look at this and go, well, look at these men. They must know what they're doing. This book is used in the Dallas Theological Seminary, and wow, these guys are godly men. Blah 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 blah. Boy, nothing could be further from the truth. But there's a lot of people that think if the guy has a PhD. Let's just pick one here. Frank E. Gabeline. I used to have a lot of his books, and so Charles, and I've been told this. Charles, who are you? Who are you? You're a nobody, and all these men can't be wrong. Well, guess what? They are. Let's take a little closer look at Mordecai, who's called a Jew here. He's the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, and we get more information in 1 Samuel chapter 9. So let's go have a look at that, shall we? So here we are in 1 Samuel 9:1. Now there was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Bechorath, the son of Ephi, Benjamite, a mighty man of power. So here we have the background, the family line, the tree, if you will, of Mordecai. And he was of the tribe of Benjamin. Now, the tribe of Benjamin, they were not Jewish. The tribe of Benjamin were not Jewish. All right, we learn in chapter 1, verse 1, that Ahasuerus, the king, ruled from India even unto Ethiopia, Cush, 127 provinces, wide area, and Mordecai and Esther were taken into captivity by King Nebuchadnezzar in the Babylonian captivity, and because of her beauty, Esther's beauty, she was taken into the palace of the king and was in the running, was in the competition, so to speak, to become the next queen. And it's interesting that she kept her Mordecai told her not to reveal her people nor her kindred, and so she's keeping who she is secret. Her people, the Israelites. Now remember, they're in a non-Israelite territory. They're in non-Israelite hands there. They've been carried away into captivity. And keep in mind, this is not the Jews. These are the Israelites. And Mordecai and Esther were from the tribe of Benjamin. I want to show you how Scofield continues to snooker the people who read their Bible, the Scofield Bible. See that? Esther's deliverance. And why won't that focus? Well, there it is. Esther's deliverance of her people, the Jews. Esther obeys Mordecai, who's her overseer. He's taking care of her. And in those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those who kept the door, were angry and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And Mordecai hears about this conspiracy, and he made known this conspiracy to Esther, the queen. Esther's now the queen, and Esther informed the king of it in Mordecai's name. So Mordecai hears of the conspiracy. He tells Esther, who's now the queen. I skipped over all that. You'll have to read that for yourself for the sake of time. And so Esther goes and tells the king, about the conspiracy against him, and he tells it, I learned this from Mordecai. Now in chapter 3, with the introduction of Haman, things get interesting. And we're going to take a look at Haman in depth here because he plays a very important part in this whole episode. Let's go have a look at Esther chapter 3, verse 1, shall we? I want to mention this before we go on to Esther chapter 3, verse 1. So Mordecai finds out about this conspiracy, tells Esther. Esther tells the king in his name, and the two men are hanged on a tree. They don't waste any time. They don't waste any time. How long have we waited for the swamp to be drained, folks? But so let's go have a look at chapter 3, verse 1, shall we?
Chapter 3. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and advanced him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman, to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasuries. And the king took his ring from his hand, and gave it unto Haman the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, The silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. And the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by posts into all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The posts went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink. But the city Shushan was perplexed.
So there you have it. The Scofield is King James Version, the slanted version we call it, talks about Haman's conspiracy against the Jews, and also in Esord it talks about the plot, Haman's plot against the Jews. See, the average judeo-christian will just read that and say, hey, this is all about the Jews. Well, we already learned that this is not about the Jews, and that Mordecai's people are actually of the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Judah, of Jehudah. They're not Jews, they're Israelites. So we have this conspiracy of Haman against the Israelites. Haman is an Agagite. So let's go have a look at Agagite, shall we? Let's dig a little deeper. Hey, you Judeo-Christians, you need to go a little bit deeper when you read and study the Word of God, and make your pastor, make him earn his cushy income that he gets there. Make him do his job and actually teach you the truth. But I digress. Let's go look at, I guess that's pronounced Agagite or Agag. The original individual, his name was Agag. Let's go back in the Old Testament and have a look at that, shall we? Here we are in Genesis 36:8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. That's why I always say, or usually say, the Esau Edomites. And these, verse 9, these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. And I want to go down here to Amalek, verse 12. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bore to Eliphaz Amalek. And down here, verse 36:16, Amalek is referred to as a duke or a chief. So Esau, as you know, it was Jacob's twin brother. Actually, he was his older brother, and there's been a conflict in the womb, conflict between Jacob and Esau. Kind of hard to keep all this straight, but Esau, the father of the Edomites, had a son, Eliphaz, and Eliphaz had a concubine, and they had a son, and his name was Amalek. So let's go have a closer look at who Amalek is. One of the dukes or one of the chiefs of the Edomites. We're going to learn a little bit about Agag and the Amalekites here in 1 Samuel 15. I'm not going to read all this. I'm not quite as good at it as Alexander Scorby is. But verse 3, now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. And Saul came to his city of Amalek and laid wait in the valley. Let's skip down here to 15:8. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive. And I want to suggest that he not only took the king alive, but probably some of the king's servants. And Saul, verse 9, but Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and of the oxen and the fatlings and of the lambs and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, but everything that was vile and refuse that they utterly destroyed. I love this verse 14 here. Samuel comes to Saul and he says, what's the meaning then of this bleating of the sheep in mine ears and the lulling of the oxen which I hear? So there we have it. The first king, the Israelites, didn't want to be ruled by God himself, Yahweh himself. They wanted to be ruled by a king like all the other people around them. They didn't want to be different. And so the first thing this Saul does is not the first thing, but one of the first things is he doesn't obey Yahweh, and he doesn't destroy all the sinners, the Amalekites, including the king Agag. So Samuel has to do the job later. You can read about that in 1 Samuel, in that chapter 15, I think it is. But the point is, And before we go there, we Israelites, we think we're so much smarter than God, and we're so much more merciful, and we're so much more understanding, and so Saul, he doesn't want to destroy all them good sheep and all them oxen and the king. So he doesn't do what he was told to do, and he rebels, and you can read about that. Rebellion is as a sin of witchcraft, and we're going to go. This was about 600 years. This is about 1100 BC, 600 years before the incident that we read about in Esther. So Mordecai and Esther are going to pay the price for what Saul did not do. He did not obey God's command to wipe them all out. You don't just kill a few of the cockroaches. You don't kill a few of the fleas and leave some. You kill all the cockroaches. You kill all the fleas, or you're going to pay the price later, which is what Esther and Mordecai are about to do. But let's go back and look at this fella, Haman, again, shall we? Right here in verse 1, we know that Haman is a offspring of a Haggagite, and therefore an offspring of Esau. And instead of Haman plots against the Jews, Haman himself is the Jew, and Haman is plotting against the Israelites, specifically the tribe of Benjamin in Mordecai and Esther. Not only Mordecai and Esther, but all of the Israelites, because they were in the king's land, in the province, and they didn't follow the king's laws per se. They followed Yahweh's laws, and therefore Haman thought he was doing the king's pleasure by wanting to destroy all the Israelites. Don't you love it? Mordecai refused to bow. He refused to pay homage. He refused to bend the knee to Haman, the descendant of Esau, Edomites. And boy, did that upset Haman, yes? So he wants to destroy all of the Israelites in the king's territory. And that's quite the opposite of what the judeo-christian or the Zionist, the Jewish version of this story of Esther. I've been in the courtroom in front of some of these Esau Edomite judges, and they don't want people like me in there. They don't want me to enter into the bar. That's what that is, that little gate between where the attorneys sit and the judges and the court reporter. They don't want you crossing the bar. You have to become a member of the bar. See, that bar there separates you from the sheep and the cattle that are out there. So you're special because you're in the club. And when you go into the courtroom on your own and represent yourself in front of these Esau Edomite judges, these Hamans, if you will, they don't like that, and they don't want you to win, and they'll do everything they possibly can. They have no regard for the law. They don't give a rat's posterior for the law, and they'll go out of their way to make sure that you lose. And I've been there many times, folks, but I love being in there, and I'm going to stay out of there as much as I can because they want you to come in there. They want to charge you with a crime, and they want to get you in their system. And then look what they're doing to Julian Assange, folks. So it's been about 30 minutes. I'm going to leave her there, folks. This will be part 1. and we'll get into part two, the second part, where things get very interesting. Knowing the true story, the true facts behind Esther, very encouraging, very encouraging. And we'll get to that, the second part two, in the next video, folks. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel. And may the grace of God, our Father Yahweh, the God of the Israelites, the God of Mordecai and Esther, who were of the tribe of Benjamin, the God who told Saul to destroy the Amalekites, including the king Agag, which he did not do. He disobeyed. And Samuel says, what is the meaning of the bleating of the sheep and the lulling of the oxen that we hear, when Saul took it into his own hands and did what he thought was right in the eyes of the Lord, and he was completely rejected by Yahweh, and because he didn't do what Yahweh told him to do, destroy all of the Amalekites. And again, we Israelites think we're so much smarter than God. We're so much more merciful. We're not going to destroy the sodomites. We're not going to destroy the homosexuals. We're not going to give them the penalty that Scripture taught, the law of Yahweh talks about. And over a period of years, incrementalism, increment, a little by little, the leaven gets in and destroys a society. And isn't that where we are today? We got open sodomites in office as the governors and mayors and in Congress, and we got Graham there, and what is it, South Carolina? He's an avowed homosexual, and we got the Michael the tranny, Obama the tranny. We got Obama himself, homosexual, in the bathhouses there with Rahm Emanuel, folks. The evil has permeated our society because we Israelites, we think we know better than Yahweh himself. But may his grace be upon those of us, his remnant, that attempt the best to our knowledge to embrace the love of the truth and to obey our God, Yahweh, and his laws. May his grace be upon us all, for we most certainly need it. See ya.